everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have the final update to my Panda palette in order, Project Pan. So I was inspired to do this Project Pan by watching Caitlin here on YouTube, but I think the project originated from Taylor, and I have both of their channels linked in the description box. So this is basically a Panda palette, but instead of working on all of the shades all at once, you work on one shade at a time and in order. So I have been, since January of this year, working on my Glam Shop Remix palette. Glam Shop is a Polish indie brand, and this is an older palette in my collection. I chose this because I had 12 pans in this palette without pan, so like easy math, if I worked on one shade at a time, hit one pan each month, I would have this rolling out by the end of this year. It is also looking a bit nasty because of oil seepage and so on. So I just wanted to get this palette out of my collection. The shades are still lovely. The Glam Shop has excellent eyeshadow formula, but a bit powdery, a bit dusty. They kind of fly everywhere. So I have been working on this, as I said, since January, and you can see the steady progress that I have been making. I also did decide quite early to finish a couple of shades after I hit pan on them. So you can see how the palette has changed. Jasny Best, the first like bone white shade, I decided to finish up to completion, as well as Miniovka. And I did some months hit double pan, so I have been working on this adamantly for the entire year. The shade Zikus, that very stark pink shade, had a lot of kick up, but it was absolutely stunning, very pigmented, like a neon pink. So I decided, I worked on that as a bit of a blush, for a bolder blush shade. I don't know what else to say about this palette. I have, since like the last few months, I have been working on those final darker shades, which has been a bit of a more of a challenge than the other shades in this palette. And I also, last update, did repress a lot of these shades. I did not film it, I'm sorry, because I'm such a messy girl when I repress eyeshadow. But I have emptied out a lot of the pans and repressed them into, for example, bronzers. I repressed into blushes and highlighters and so on. So the last month I have been working on the shade Orion, which is a green metallic sparkly shade. It is very dark, it has like a black base. And you could see that I already, before starting like this month to work on it, that I did actually have a good dip in this shade. So, what are we looking like today? This is the palette now. And as you can see, there is a tiny pan, but it is pan nonetheless, and I am going to go with it because I'm not too inspired to work on these dark shades, to be honest. This is the shade Orion that I just hit pan on. It is beautiful. It's like a more warm-toned, sparkly shade with a black base. But I'm panning a lot of shades, and you will have a very specific look working on these dark shades. So that means that we are on track on hitting one pan and panning all of the shades in this palette until the end of the year. We are now at the final shade here, which is called Bravo. And it's quite similar to this shade, but it's a more cool toned petrol green. There we have that one, so it's still, very dark. I do have a similar shade in my Panda's eyeshadows, which is annoying, but obviously I think I'm gonna focus on this shade because finishing this palette is more important than heating pan in that random eyeshadow palette. So we are one shade to go. As you can see, there is a little dip in this shade. When I hit pan on that final shade, which hopefully will be next update, the finale, I am going to get rid of this palette. It has done its job. I'm not interested in finishing up those remaining shades here. So this shade Bravo is also kind of similar to the shade I hit pan on earlier, which is called Kozak. Kozak has the same blue tone, but instead of a dark black base, it has a very, very clear reddish brown base. You can see there. But it's the same blue-green tone to it. So that is also like not the most fun. I am dedicated though to get the job done with this palette. So that is a very short update. These updates are of the shorter kind because I only, I have to talk about what I've been doing, what shade have I been working on, what shade will I be working on next month. It's fine. Not all videos have to be long as essays. That is absolutely fine. So let me know what you think about this project. Are you doing it? I have a couple of palettes picked out that I want to maybe have like contenders for this project for next year. We shall see. We shall see what will happen. But maybe I will talk about them the next update, which will be the finale. And I hope that you will be here for that update. Anyways, that is it for me, guys. Please say hi in the comments. I always love to hear from you. And I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.